Hello, welcome back to JJ's Bakehouse. I'm Ginny and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a vanilla cake. So you can use this as a birthday cake, which I'll show you at the end, just something very simple just to jazz it up if at the moment you want to make your own birthday cake for somebody, and you can also use it there just as a regular cake to have with a cup of tea. So let's begin. Now I'm going to start with the sponge. Same way I always do, so I always start with my sugar and my butter. So I've got 340 grams of caster sugar, and into that I am adding 340 grams of butter. Now make sure that your butter is of a touchable consistency like this and leaves a mark in it, because if you have hard butter it's not going to whip up properly and you're not going to get the air inside of the cake. This is really important. This is where we're getting our air from, is this big whip up, and we're going to make it look really mousse-like. So on a medium to high speed we're going to go for about 2 minutes and get that really light and fluffy butter creaming with sugar. So I'll see you in a moment. Right, here we go. I'll show you what I've got. Let me just scrape that, because I know the minute I move the bowl it's going to fall. There we go. Right then. So this is how mine looks here. It's lovely and mousse-like. Really light. It's gone really light in colour, and it's completely fluffy, and this is really important, because if you don't do this stage, this is where you're getting your air and you're going to have a denser cake, because you need all that light and fluffiness. So, oh, let me just pull this towards me. There we go. Right then, I'm now going to do what I normally do with my recipes. I am going to add everything in all at once now, and it makes everything so simple, so quick. And I don't like adding the eggs after this, because if the temperatures aren't quite right it can curdle, so I find putting it all in together and mixing it for a really short period of time does give that really nice consistency and will bring you out a lovely sponge. So I've got 340 grams of plain flour going into there. Now I use plain flour and my own raisin agent. If you want to use self-raising flour, that's fine, and just leave out the raisin agent. I've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder going into there. I've got 6 large eggs. And then finally I've got 4 tablespoons of milk and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I will be putting all this in the description box below, so don't worry. Right then, tea towel over the top of the mixer, and we're going to just put this on a really low speed just to incorporate everything. So while this is going, I'm going to get my tins ready. Now this makes 8-inch tins, okay? I've lined mine, so I got my parchment paper and then I went round, put that down and went round the bottom with a pencil and then cut them out to make the exact amount. Now I've got a spray that I use there, a non-stick spray that I put around this one, which stops the sides from sticking. You can either put parchment paper around, so cut a long section and put more parchment paper around, or you can use the butter method. So if you're going to put butter on, just a thin amount of butter all the way around the tins, but make sure that then you put some flour on and you just tap it all around so the flour coats the butter. If when you put butter into a frying pan, you'll notice that it burns when it gets to a heat quite quickly. Now it's going to do that, and then it's just going to make the outsides of your cake and the bottom crunchy. So make sure that you add that flour over the top. Just mix it around and then tip it upside down and get rid of the excess. So there's our tins. Right, this is looking lovely, exactly the way I want it. See, we mix this for a minimal amount of time. Now I have a creaming paddle and I really recommend them. But if you haven't got one, it means that you have to stop and keep scraping around. Now, as you've noticed, I haven't scraped around at all because I haven't needed to because of that cream and paddle. So even when you're doing the sugar to begin with, if you need to scrape around the outsides, then do so. Right. Also, something that I found at the moment, where I live, it's quite cold, so the outside of my bowl, on the metal bowl here, is extremely cold. Now when I'm doing my creaming to begin with, which is the sugar and the butter, if you're struggling to get that really fluffy consistency and your butter is sticking to the sides of the bowl, because this is so cold, it does like to stick. When you're preheating your oven, just pop your bowl into the oven there for about 2 minutes at the most, probably about 90 seconds. Take it back out, you should be able to touch the sides of it, but it's not as cold as this, and then you can start putting your butter and your sugar in, and it won't be clinging to those sides. It's a really good tip if you're doing buttercream as well at the moment, when you're whipping up that butter really fast to start with. If it's sticking to the side, you're not going to get anywhere. So pop that bowl for around about 90 seconds into the oven, just to stop it from clinging to the sides. Okay, right. Now I've preheated my oven there to 140, well just about 145, so between 140 and 150 degrees on a fan assisted oven. Now if you don't have a fan assisted oven, just pop it up to 160, and we're going to let that go in for quite a long period. This way I'm going to get a flatter top. If you go higher in your temperature, then you get the dome. So if you want to start out at 150, see how your oven goes, but I'm veering more towards the 140 because I tested this on my oven. So I'm going more towards the 140 degrees, which would be 150 with a non-fan assisted oven. I will write this in the description box, but if you sit around about 145 degrees Celsius on a fan assisted and about 155 on a regular oven. Okay. Let's put this in. Try and put in equal amounts in each one. I'm going to do this by eye. You could use a spoon. Don't have to be exact, but it is good that you get the correct amounts in there, because otherwise your sponges are going to look different. So, let me see, a little bit more in that one. Scrape out that bowl. There we are. And then I've got a palette knife, and I'm just going to make sure that it is all flat. Now, a lot of people have a tendency when they put the cake in to go from the outside and skim around the outside. And what you're doing there is you're making the outer bits flatter, and then you've got this dome bit in the middle. So try not to do, what I tend to do is take my knife and push the mixture like this. The middle will sort itself out, but you need it to be even around those edges, otherwise you're going to get not that nice flat, it's going to go a little bit biscuit like on the side. So now I'm happy. Okay. Now I can skim it, and as you can see, that is exactly level. So I'll do it again with this one. So again, from side to side, and then change direction the other way, side to side, and keep pushing it to the edges, and then you can take it around. Lovely. So I'm going to pop this into the oven. Now I'm going to check mine. I'm putting 3 in. If you've got a fan assisted oven, putting 3 into the oven is absolutely fine, because they are because the air circulates better. You might struggle and not be able to put 3 in if you don't have a fan assisted oven. So let's just put these around. Now I'm going to check mine after around about 25 minutes with these, so I will let you know the exact timing for the 3 in the oven as soon as I've finished. So I will see you soon when these have popped out the oven. See you soon. Okay, so I've taken these out of the oven now. They are lovely and flat and really, really soft and springy across the top. So they took me 27 minutes in the oven there. So that was 145 degrees Celsius in a fan assisted or 155 in a non for 27 minutes. So we're going to leave these to cool before we think about decorating them. So I'll see you soon. Right, these are lovely and cool. Now I like to turn my cakes out of the tins and put them upside down so that the tops are on the bottom. The reason I do that is because it just flattens anything else out that if there was a slight lump or anything, it kind of flattens them out. So that's the way they are. The only trouble is they're on parchment paper now, and that top part might have stuck just slightly, but that's not a problem at all. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to start building up this cake. So I have one of these, let's move this. I have one of these round turntables. Now if you don't have a turntable, haven't done it, but I believe if you take the bottom bit out of your microwave, the dish and the round turn thing on the bottom, if you take that out and put it down, you can spin your microwave dish as if it's a turntable. Haven't tried it, but you could give it a go. Right then. Now I am using vanilla buttercream here. Now the vanilla buttercream is on my channel, the recipe for this. I will write the amounts of what you would need to cover this cake in the description box underneath, and then just take the method from my white vanilla buttercream recipe and method on my channel. So I've got a cake board there. You could use a plate if you don't have a cake board. I'm trying to make this as simple so you could do this just if you don't have all these different tools that I have. Right, here is my buttercream. Just take the cling film off. And then to begin with, I'm going to, my tools I would normally use, and I will do halfway through, I'm just going to try and show you. I would use a palette knife and I would use my spatula. So I'm going to pop those there. But I'm going to have a go at trying to use basic home tools as well. So, which would be a spoon and a knife. So I'm going to take with the spoon some of my mixture and pop it onto the bottom of the board or plate, whichever you are using. And then I can lift up my cake here and pop it on top, making sure it's central. Now I always do it so that the flattest part, which is the bottom of the cake, is the one I'm always working with. So let's peel off my parchment like this. And then we're going to spoon on some of the vanilla, like this, and then just using the spoon, pushing it all the way around. If you get to this part here and you don't have enough, just go back in and get some more. You want to make sure that it's around about the same thickness the whole way around, otherwise you can have a lopsided cake. There we go. There we are. Same technique as what I've done before, side to side, making sure that it's completely even all the way over. There we are. Actually works okay, this spoon. Right then, my next one. Oh, move that to there. They are slightly stuck underneath, but that always happens and it's fine. Right, put the next one on the top, making sure that you line it up again. And the off the top. And we're going to do the very same thing. Lots of blobs on the top there. Making sure that it's even all the way around. Okay, I'm going to do the very same with the top piece then, popping the top on. Right, okay, that's a bit cleaner. So now, the last lot, you don't need to put as much on the top here. Right, and then the spoon again. Make sure it all covers the top. Pushing over all the time. There we go. Excellent. Right then, so now we're going to take this knife. I would normally use this, so if you're using these, okay, otherwise. And then I am just going to use the back of it. I'm not using the sharp edge, and keep your fingers, please, away from that if you're using a knife. And push it around the sides there. Some parts there will be more. Taking it and putting it off onto the side there. Okay? Excellent. Right. Just scraping off the excess there. Lovely. Right then, back with the spoon or with your palette knife, and we are just going to fill in all the gaps here. There we go. Try not to pull too much because some of the sponge might come away, so you really are just putting it on, dab it on. And we're going to do this all the way around the cake, so I'll be back to you in a second. Right, I've gone all the way around. If there's any holes, just pop them in. Now, if when you were going around any of the cake seemed to be coming off, just take the spoon off straight away, get some more buttercream and just go in with a thicker amount. That's all it is your amount's not thick enough and it's sticking. So, right, making sure that you can't see any cake at all and really trying to see if you can level it out as best you can as well. So it looks as straight as you can possibly get it. Right. Okie doke. So now, I'm going to go back in with the knife, keeping it flat to the side and move the table round, or move your knife around if you can. So just take the knife and just, there we go. See, you're getting a nice steady mark all the way around there. Don't go too far in, you don't want to take too much off there. We're just skimming it at this point, just to make it look all level and smooth. We're not trying to take it back to the cake. There we go. Right, now we'll take a little bit longer using the knife. I'm going to go back to my palette knife now. So, just because it's a bit longer. There we go. Shall we get into those bottom parts? All the way around. Scrape off anything that's hanging over that you don't want for the moment. There we go. Lovely. Right, now with the top, you're just going to push it over. Again, if you're using the knife, use the back edge of the knife for this. So that you get that edge that meets. There we go. You want it to tip over that edge. It almost looks as if the edge is wider than the actual cake. There we go. If that's not the case, then just go in, take some more and just push it towards the outer side. There we go. always making sure that you've got that overhang for the moment everywhere. There we go. Then just take your knife, bring it across the top. And again around those sides. I'm not using the bottom of the knife here, we're using the side of the palette knife because that's what gives that lovely finish. Then I'm going to take the palette knife again and use the top, and that overhang that's there will just finish that off really nicely, which is why we've done this overhang. You make sure that you get this seamless edge across the top. Now with this, I'm not trying to get those big straight edges or anything. This really is just a basic cake. So if you're just starting out, you're just trying to get the shape of the cake, the understanding of the cake. But also if you are more used to making cakes, then this recipe is lovely for getting those sharp edges, making sure that the cake is it's so soft. It's a lovely, lovely recipe to work with, this one, so it can be used for anything. Right. There we go. Just one final time around the side. If you've lifted too much cake off around the side, not to worry. Like if you've got gaps like this, just put some more in. And we can go back round, there is no hurry. And just fill anything in. If you see cake coming through, then you've taken it back too far, just add some more. Making sure that you add all the way through so you don't get sections in the middle, because otherwise it won't meet up. And just come back round again, and it will all smooth off there. Right. Once you're happy with that, we can just pop this little bit in here. There we go. Excellent. Right, so now you've got this lovely smooth top. You've got the edges around that are all meeting up nicely. There we go. Bringing it all in to make it look really smooth and cleanly finished. Okay, and just go round across the top. There we are. There we go. Not too worried at this point about making sure that everything is completely and utterly flat. Right, now we're going to put some pattern onto the side of the cake. Especially, pattern is very, very important if you haven't quite mastered getting those completely smooth sides. So I've left mine just so that it shows that there is a little bit of maybe not complete uniformity through this, and how this is going to cover that over. So you can use your palette knife if you know what you're doing, or I've grabbed a teaspoon. So take your spoon, pop it into the bottom part, not too far in, and turn the cake. Okay, and then when you come up towards where you were, lift the spoon up above, just for the second layer on that. Again, don't go in too far. And up again, the third one. And then off to the top on the last one. And there we go. So that gives you a lovely effect all around the outside there and covers over any of those slight issues. Now we can do the very same thing on the top here. So let's start again. I'm going to go from the outside in where we were. So again, right on the outside there, take the spoon in and around where you meet up. Just keep going round. Just on top of it every time. And there we go. Taking it through to the middle. A couple of my little bits came off there, so just lift them off. And with the bottom part of the spoon, there we go, you just push it back in again. Everything can be saved. There we go. A little few bits on the outsides there. You can then take the spoon and just take it around that top layer here, just to smooth that back out. And there you go. So like this, that can just be your basic vanilla cake. So that's your sponge, which is so light, fluffy and moist, and the buttercream is so silky. This is a really lovely recipe there. So that is that done. What you need to do is clean up the board though. So if you take your spoon or a knife, careful not to knock the work that you've done. Just go all the way around. If it's your plate, then on the plate. Just to clean up. There's nobody, it's not going to look very professional or nice if it's all dirty. And then you can get a bit of kitchen roll and just wipe over the rest of the board. Just to clean everything up. Now I'm going to clean this up and then I'm going to smooth off the top and show you how you can put a number on the top if you want to make this into a birthday cake. So I will see you in a second. Okay, I have cleaned down my cake. I've just smoothed the top off. I smoothed those sides back off again from the effect I gave you earlier. You could use that as a birthday cake, but now what I've done here is I've made some stencils. So I'm going to pretend that this is cake for a 1-year-old. So what I did is the tins that I used, I just made an extra piece of parchment paper as if I was going to line the tin. So I now know that that is the correct size for the top. Then I worked out where the middle of this was by putting a line down, a line across, measuring them and making sure there's my middle. And then I drew, or you could print off the internet, a number. So I did a 1 and I've made sure that it's dead central in the middle of that. I then went over it again and cut it out. The only reason I did it again is because I want to show you this, okay, how to make sure that it's dead central. And then with a knife, I cut it out, or you could use scissors. Now you can do one or two things now. You can put this on top of the cake, like so. If you wait until your cake's a bit drier, then it's not going to stick and pull everything off, but I'm doing this with you now. And then you can put the sprinkles over the top and just have a 1, or you can put the 1 down and then sprinkle all around and lift the 1. So it depends on whether you want to have a number that's sprinkled or whether you want the border to be sprinkled and then just the plain white coming through for the number. I'm going to do this way. So pop that down. There we go. Central. Take my sprinkles. Now I have got a pizza tin under here, parchment paper, so any sprinkles that fall off I'm hoping are going to land in here. And then I'm just going to sprinkle these over the top. Okay, just push them in just a little bit to make sure that they stick and to make sure that your number is defined. There we go. Edge there. We want it to be quite full. And I want to stick to my end part. I will make it stick. Okay. So at the minute it doesn't really look like anything. But when we lift that off, you can do this with any number. Hopefully it's going to look like what we want it to look like. So, very carefully, because it's sticking, I'm going to take this and lift, making sure that I do lift right away so that any bits don't fall back down. And there we go. So I have a 1 right in the centre. Any that come off, just take a spoon and just push it back in. You can give it a little bit of a tidy up. There. Okay. And then just around this top edge, because some might fall, I'm going to, around the border, put some of these sprinkles as well. So I'm going to put some into my hand, and around the outside just put some sprinkles around the outside, just like this. Same again, just pushing down slightly. We're going to do this all the way around. So obviously if you'd have done the other effect, then the outside would have all been done. You wouldn't have needed to do this, but I prefer it this way. Right, this is going to take me a minute, so I'll come back to you as soon as I'm finished. Sorry if I glitched off then, my internet had a bit of a moment and my camera shut down. Right, so I'm still going around here. This is what you got the pizza thing for. And we're going to go all the way around the cake. Just any bits that are on the plate or the board, just push them in with your finger. Doesn't have to be completely straight. This is just very easy, and sometimes that homemade look is a really nice look. So just keep going all the way around. Okay, so I'm all done. I know you can't see me anymore. I've zoomed in so that you can see this. So I'm going to tip that slightly. Look at that 1. That's really good. You can do that with any number at all. There we go. And we've got sprinkles everywhere. What you need to do is just use your finger or a knife. Make sure that it all comes into here. And then all you need to do is pick up the parchment paper and you can pop it back into the tub. No need to waste anything. So that has been our very simple birthday cake. I hope you've enjoyed it. Why not get one of your kids to make mum, dad, granny, brother, sister a cake, and it would be so nice and it will mean so much more to have a homemade cake. So that's your tutorial. I will see you soon. Hope you enjoy it. Bye bye.